This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Ping.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
When was the last time you felt inspired? Are you ready to take your passions to make a difference while living a life you truly love? Your host, Katana Abbott, who is a life and legacy wealth coach and certified financial planner, searches the world to bring you experts in the field of personal and professional growth, wealth creation, and mind, body, and spirit. So grab a cup of coffee and take that quantum leap you've been waiting for. Smart Women Talk Radio, the link to live with purpose, passion, and prosperity.
Hello, everyone. This is Katana Abbott, and I want to welcome you to Smart Women Talk, where I search the world for smart women and a few good men. And this includes thought leaders, best-selling authors, change agents, and those that are on the leading edge. So we have topics like money, business, health, inspiration, and the metaphysical. So you can join us at the Smart Women community. And receive our monthly theme-based easing, so you'll know who our guests are. Like you would have known who both of our guests were this particular month for those watching live or listening live. And you'll also learn about all the live events we have, really great articles and tips and tools and free resources, all kinds of great stuff. All you have to do is to join us, and it's free, is go to joinsmartwomen.com. joinsmartwomen.com. So one of the things we did in the Smart Women's Academy, when you take my course, Unlock Your Financial Power, you are invited to tell us about you in a survey. So we've had 283 women who took this survey. 40% said that they want to either write a book, speak, coach, consult. So maybe all of those or one of those. And the number one thing that the women wanted was to have more joy in their life. And then another big issue was being able to retire. So, it's about money. I think a lot of these women, because we know about 80% of our following are women 50 plus. And they're in that stage, which I call your second act. One of my clients, she's writing a book on the third act. So those women, I think, have so many skills, talents, experience, unique abilities, and they want to turn that into income for themselves to supplement their retirement, maybe never retire. And so writing a book, speaking, consulting, becoming a coach, a teacher, something like that is just a wonderful thing that women are doing at all ages, but a lot are doing it at midlife. So that's why I'm very excited to have our special guest today. She is a returning guest. She's one of our Smart Women, Empower Women partners. Her name is Ruth Klein. We're going to talk about how to monetize your nonfiction book. Get this, even before it's published. So today we're going to talk about the number one secret you must have to monetize that message. So stay to the end, and why your message needs to have 3 parts to have a financial impact. And the reason why most nonfiction books don't have a strong message that sells. So I'll tell you just a little bit more about Ruth, and then we're going to start this great conversation. So Ruth is an internationally known brand strategist, best-selling author of 7 books, speaker and expert celebrity branding maven for leaders, CEOs, and entrepreneurs. And she's appeared in most of the media. I mean, O Magazine, the Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, CNBC, Fox, and all the networks. So, and dozens of other places. But she works with experts, conscious leaders, and C-suite executives to help them become highly visible as the thought leader in their industry. And then she helps them create a lucrative business and powerful branding messages by honing that message and communicating it through writing books, signature speeches, and purpose-driven brands. So you can catch her new podcast, Generation Why Not, pretty much wherever you get your podcast, just like we have here. So anyway, it's exciting with these new venues, isn't it? Ruth, welcome.
Welcome. It's so nice to be here, Katana. I love being with you, and I love being interviewed on your show. So it's a real treat for me. Thank you. And I love those statistics that you shared. I had no idea that so many people, so many women had filled out that survey. And I love the fact that you were able to document that, because numbers speak, and numbers don't lie, as much as we want to look like that sometimes. So I really appreciated that. Thank you for that.
Well, and one of the top things they wanted was to be able to make a difference in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I taught I taught Barbara Stanny's course, Secrets of Successful High Earners, at a nonprofit, at the La Casa Center, and it's a shelter for women. And it was interesting because they all said, when they all wanted to make a difference, but then they were in a shelter, being sheltered from abuse. And when I asked them about what do they do with money when they get it, Ruth, several of them said, I try to get rid of it as fast as possible. And when we started digging down to see why that was, they said because they associated pain with it. Amazing. So these stats that we have are real, just like you said, and they're very eye-opening. So I know there are so many women that perhaps they were working in corporate or some kind of position where they were doing a lot of traveling. They might have children home, and they are wanting to stay home now and do the same thing we're talking about, monetize their message, learn how to make money by working virtually, and not just virtual anymore. It's also getting out in public as we open up. But we've got a huge audience here for you today to reach out across the globe and let people know that they can actually use a book as a way to make money, but they have to do it strategically. And that's what we're here to talk about, because so many people are wanting to write books.
Yeah. And usually what happens is people want to write a book and they just start writing. And it really hurts my heart, because I could take the rest of the show to share with you experiences that people have had, that they started writing their books. They spent the money, even with writing coaches. And a writing coach is not necessarily what you need. You need someone that not only can write, you need someone who also understands branding and who understands marketing and who understands enrollment and that whole world. Because many times they'll say, well, I have an English major helping me edit. No, that's not where you want it. And the editing process already comes after first coming up with the development of the book and what the book is going to be about, and then writing it. The editing is right before you get it published. So there have been a lot of stories like that. And I just want to share one with you, Katana, that I think your audience will really appreciate. Years ago, I had some live function at my home, and one of the people that I had invited a friend. And after the social event, she comes up to me and she tells me a little bit about her and that she wants to write this book. And can I help her with it? And I said, I am so sorry. This is not the book to write if you want this to happen. And she got upset with me. And she goes, no. And she was an expert. And no, you don't understand. This is the book. I said, I'm so sorry. You can write that book, but that book's not going to get you to where you want to go. And I don't feel comfortable, sharing that with you, because writing a book, there's a lot in that. So she left in a huff. And every so often I would think about that. 3 years after that, I get a random call. Are you the Ruth Klein that helps people write books? I said, yes, I am. And she goes, I have to come see you. And I thought, whoa. But so she did come and see me, and she came into my home and she started crying. And she said, you were right. That was not my first book. And I can tell you stories like this left and right. And and how did I even end up starting to help people write books is because I ended up every year I would go to the North American, you were there, the North American Book Expo, which is the North American conference for several days where the Simon and Schusters and all the publishers hang out and the literary agents hang out and authors or writers, wannabe authors hang out and PR people. And I would walk around and it would just, oh my God, so many of the writers did not know how to deal with that huge conference and how to pitch their book and what book publishers to pitch it to. And so
and Ruth, stay close to the camera, to your screen, because you're garbled when you look away, and I know you move around.
Okay. And I remember one guy said, well, why? I said, well, this breaks my heart. I could help these people, these writers. He goes, why don't you do it? And then I thought, fine, I will. And that's how it started. And then you were in that first class with book proposals.
Oh, that was the LA Book Expo.
That was, so
I was so excited to come out there, and I brought two other people that became authors with me.
Became authors and also have
published.
a TV show and now have a show
and they're famous.
That's right, around their book. Yeah. And because it represented them, and they were in a field that they were in law, and they didn't know how to make that happen. And so that's the essence of knowing what book to write.
Well, so, and also Ann Doyle ended up writing her book, and she was speaking for the State Department with the Obama administration, I think for Clinton administration. They were actually sending her out because she had that message on leadership.
Right. And that's how you monetize that message. And it's, the monetization, as we know, it comes. You first have to focus on the message. You first have to focus on what is it you really want to say, and how is that book, and this is an important piece, going to become the centerpiece of a lucrative, purposeful business. That's what I do. Those are the books that I do. If someone wants to write a book in a weekend, I'm not the person. Mm-hmm. If someone wants to give away their book, even on Amazon for free or 99 cents, I'm not the person. I'm the purist. And I believe that our expertise is valuable. And I don't think you have to sell books to get a bestseller to do it free or 99 cents. There are other ways to do it. That's real book marketing. That's sustainable. That is sustainable. And people may become clients as a result. So there's a whole, the way I do it is very different.
Oh, I know that. Yes. Yeah. A lot of people think they have to be a good writer, and it's funny because I never even thought I was creative. And before I came into this business, working, corporate and financial planning, I had no concept that I could actually write. So tell us a little bit about that, because is it because you're working with people who are maybe experts in their field that they really can write? I mean, how does this happen that you create these great writers when you coach them? It's pretty exciting.
So people buy books for the information, the expertise. And many times people will say, well, Ruth, I want to write a book, but how, really, is anyone going to read it? There are, thousands of financial books out there. There are thousands of money books out there, on and on. And my response is, yes, they will read it, because you can line up 1,000 people and they see things differently through the lens of their expertise, of their experiences, of their hard knocks, on and on and on. And so, yes, if you write a book that represents the essence of who you are and your message, and it makes sense to the person reading, and it hits the points they need to know and want to know, your book will be your book will sell, and you'll be able to enroll clients from it. In terms of your specific question, do you have to be a writer, a good writer? Absolutely not. They do not buy books because you're a writer or not a writer. That's why you get a professional editor. And I will tell you, all my books have been traditionally published, although I have a handful now of hybrid publishers for my clients, which are wonderful. But that's the editor's job. It's my job to get the ideas out there, to get the strategy, to get the systems, to really help them focus and identify what their brand is, to position their book, to position them, put in some marketing strategies in the book and elsewhere now because technology is so wonderful. And then we get an editor. Then we get a professional editor. And every single book I've written, I have my own editor on my dime. And then it goes to the publisher, Katana, and they have a professional editor there because I know how important it is. And I'm a good writer. I'm a really good writer, but I want it to sing. And so when people read my books, they'll say something like, gosh, Ruth, I could so hear you saying that.
Okay. I bought Generation Why Not, an audiobook, and it was after a surgery. And so I would be on this therapeutic bed, let's say, for every evening. And I was going through your book, and I don't know if you were reading it or you had someone reading, but it was just like it was you, and I heard you. I mean, it was perfect because I know you so well. So it's pretty exciting though, when someone can write a book or even have it done in audio and it really has their voice. Is there a secret to doing that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's the first part of writing the book. There needs to be a system that you create, and there needs to be a strategy. And the third piece to monetizing the message, Katana, is I have to pull out the essence of who the person is, what their message is, to the point where in the process of writing a book, many of my clients, almost all of them actually, end up increasing their finances, getting clients, because for the first time, they get clear on what they do.
Yeah.
One of the hardest things when we're in business is when someone says, what do you do? And, I'm going to use an attorney right now. I'm an attorney. You've just lost this fabulous opportunity to tell people what kind of an attorney you are. It's not just about being an attorney. It's not just about being a coach. It's not just about being a health practitioner. And so in that space, what do you do? I help people really get to not only identify it, but start to see it for themselves. And here's the kicker. You have to own it. You have to own it. And you know that we came up with a brand a while back, and we identified that brand for you, the essence of what you were trying to do and the essence of who you are and your voice and in complete alignment. And you saw it, but you didn't own it. And now you own it.
And I put it to rest and went a different direction.
That's right.
And
for many years.
Yes.
For many years.
And I want to ask you a question, because in Generation Why Not, I heard you say, there's this woman I know who 10 years ago came up with the brand, and she failed to launch it, and she missed out on $1 million. And it's like, oh my gosh. And so what was so exciting in the new course I'm taking that I've been in 6 months with you, it was the Momentum 100 Club, is you actually had the whole group vote which brand they liked better. And everyone except one person said the Midlife Millionaire. And since I've launched it, the writing that I do has become easier. And there's so much excitement, and my coaching practice is completely full.
I saw that. That excitement excites me. That makes me so happy. And that's what I'm talking about. That's why having a writing coach is not what you need.
Mm-mm.
You need someone who knows how to write, who understands all facets of the book and the book marketing and book launching, someone who understands branding and marketing and enrollment of clients. And in that, and with that, all of that goes into writing a book. All of that goes into writing a book. And that is why people who haven't even finished writing their manuscript, their income increases, just what you said. And once you identify that piece, it becomes so much easier to write the copy.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and here's the reason for that. There's you, and then there's your brand, and then there's a gap. And this was you years ago, and this was that midlife millionaire brand, but there was a gap. You didn't own it. When you own it, it becomes in alignment. When your brand and who you are and what you do and how you're different affects your book, it affects your how you enroll clients. It affects your financial bottom line and your bank account majorly. And you get to be you, Katana. You get to see when you're fully you, it's not hard to attract clients.
Mm-hmm.
But until that gap is closed, it becomes hard to write the copy.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes hard. Remember, you used to say, as many women said, and I said this years ago, it's so hard. I don't want to do it. And, I just don't want to do this anymore. I've done this and this and this. It's hard, but not when you're in alignment and you know who you are and what you do. And that's what the book does. And that is how you're able to monetize your very special message. Your message, at least the people that I work with, are on purpose. They're heart-centered. My clients are heart-centered, and their books are on purpose. They're on purpose. And I have about 4.5 months to help people identify, see, and own who they are and what they do. And in that process is when they start attracting clients. Oh, and by the way, have a book.
And have a book. And I know one of the things that you do too, and I don't know if you don't have to go into detail, but when you talked about most people, they just start writing, they write the book and they think they're done. And there's this whole thing that you had us go through with the book proposal, which is a structure, it's an outline, and it handles all the different parts that you're going to need when you try to promote it to the publisher and find a publisher. Can you talk just briefly about that?
Sure. So it used to be with traditional publishers, you had to have a book proposal and you had to have all these pieces. That still exists today. And even for some hybrid publishers, you need it, but you need it anyway, so you know what to do once the book is out. And quite honestly, the time to market your book is about 2 months into writing your book. If you wait until it's published, you've lost many, many, many months and a lot of momentum. And so the book proposal, basically, when you want to go and you want a traditional publisher to publish your book, it costs a traditional publisher, because they hire super professional experts. It's about a $20,000 turnaround. And so it's like, you're the publisher, Katana. I'm the author. Oh, Katana, I have a book. It's going to be really good, and people love the book. Can I have $20,000, please? and so you're going to say, but well, what's it about? What's the marketing? What kind of a following do you have? What kind of a connection to publicity are you going to do? What's the real message? how are you unique? And how is your book different than others writing books in the similar topic? All of that gets to be filled out in the process of writing your book. How cool is that? How cool is that? And you've experienced that. And it's, you know, I'm doing this write a book by Christmas, and you'll have the manuscript done by Christmas. And that's basically 4 months, 4.5 months. How can that be? How can that be? Because there are people that have come to me who've been wanting to write a book for 20 years, or poetry. They write beautiful poetry and they wanted to publish it, but they don't have any system or strategy to what to do with it. And one gal, it was 20 years since she wanted to write a book, and for different, you know, limiting beliefs, I can't write, who's gonna even listen to it, yada, yada, yada. She's now on her second book within a year. She's writing her second book within a year. And so once we can get focused on all of that, it makes a big difference. And you get to monetize, you get to actually monetize your message and your purpose and your book. And you don't lead with that, Katana. You don't lead with that. You know, I've never led with money. I've never led with money. I've always, even when I couldn't afford to do stuff, I didn't lead with money. I led with what was important to me. I led with what am I in alignment with? And even now, when people are fearful of an investment, I share with them, if you believe, and this is for my programs or any program, if you believe, truly believe on a cellular level that it's going to help you, and the only thing holding you back is money, then you can figure it out. But if you don't feel that it's in full alignment, even if it's $200, don't do it.
So let's talk, you know, the program is about monetizing your message. I'd like to talk a little bit about what that really means, because I mean, you and I know what that means, but you know, it's still a little bit vague. So, and how does a book help you monetize your message? So because I have a feeling there's all types of things that can come out of it. Is it right? Like speaking and okay,
yes,
I want to let you answer it
absolutely. So before I do, I want to give you an example of what happens when you write a book where you can't monetize it, and why. I think it's very important.
Okay.
So a couple of years ago, I get a call from someone in a different country, and she found out about me somehow. Someone told her, referred her to me, and I interviewed her for a little bit of time, and she said, you know, nothing's happening with my book. I hired a writing coach, and I published the book, and I'm ready to do PR on it. I said, and so she sent me the book, and when we got back on the call for me to give her feedback, I said, please save your money, don't do PR, not yet. She goes, what do you mean? I said, I am so sorry, but the only thing I would keep in this book is the book cover. She goes, no, Ruth, you don't understand. I took a lot of time, spent a lot of money to write this book. I said, I understand, but it doesn't represent you. It's not the message that you want. It doesn't represent you. And so, believe it or not, she rewrote the book with me, and she had her first $10,000 week. Wow. And it was hybrid published, and now a traditional publisher has picked her up.
So what does that mean? You just said hybrid publisher and a traditional publisher.
There's three types of way to publish. There's the traditional publisher, like the Simon & Schusters of the world. There's the hybrid publisher, where you pay the traditional publisher will pay you a royalty and will pay you upfront, and you don't pay them anything. They pay you in advance. And then the hybrid publisher, you pay them. It's not $20,000. It usually runs about $5,000 to $7,000 after you write the book, and then they'll place it on Amazon and hopefully in bookstores and things like that. In both of those situations, the author has to market the book. Many times, the hybrid publisher will promise they'll market and they'll do this, and they might do it for a moment, the responsibility lies with the author, and the same thing with the traditional publisher. And then the third way to publish a book is called self-publishing. That is the way that if I'm going to build a house, I'm going to be the main project person, and then I'm going to hire people to build it. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't want that. I want to go to a hybrid publisher who has professional book designers, who has professional typesetters or whatever it is, and who has a distribution channel. That's why the hybrid is so great. But you just, again, have to be careful. Just like you have to be careful with a traditional publisher that's in alignment, you have to be careful with a hybrid publisher to make sure that you're in alignment. And so those are those three areas. And once she had her book, she had her first $10,000 week, she started getting asked to speak. And then I help my clients do one of two things. A lot of times today, for a while now, companies and organizations won't pay you to speak. And I don't get alarmed by that at all. Because if you have your message, and if you've written, another jargon word, a signature speech, mm-hmm. and you know how to enroll, you don't need to get paid, because you get paid through clients. And so I was in Austin, and it was one of those situations where I was asked to speak. And it was a women's organization. They didn't pay their speakers. I thought, that's fine. I'm just grateful I have the opportunity to share my message. And I ended up getting clients, and it was over $20,000. And so you don't have to worry about just going for speaking engagements, but you do need to know how to write a signature speech. I had another gal who had written 2 books, traditionally published, goes to different countries to speak. And they loved her speeches. They loved her. And they would have her come and speak again for little money to no money, but they would pay for the trip. And then she came to me and said, Ruth, what's going on here? Because she wasn't getting clients. She wasn't enrolling. There are different types of speeches, right? There's entertainment. There's information. There's infotainment. There is, all kinds of speeches. What do you want to do? And so I helped her write her signature speech. And it's been awesome. It's been awesome ever since. She now, when she speaks all over, she gets clients, and we're talking big clients. So it's all of it comes together. You know what it's like, Katana? You had the piece of the internet marketing, and you learned this piece over here, and you learned that piece over there. And not until you saw and owned who you were at a cellular level did this all really come together for you to the point where you're in alignment, and for you to say it's easy and fun. For all of you out there, let me tell you, for Katana to say that writing copy is easy and fun, that's huge, right, Katana?
Yeah.
Because, and I hear it, I believe, I get it. And all those pieces start to come together beautifully. And there are many moving pieces. I often say, Katana, that we're all made up of these beautiful puzzle pieces. And if you have someone who can help you, because it's hard to see you, it's hard to identify your brand yourself. It's hard to do that. And if you have someone who can help you put those beautiful puzzle pieces together in this beautiful puzzle picture, that's your uniqueness. And it includes everything you've ever done. The gal that I was sharing with you with the $10,000 week, she, being in a different country, she was working what we would say in special services for women and children who didn't have financial help. So she was working in that division, but it's called something else. And because she had done it in another time, she didn't include that. She didn't include that into the puzzle piece. And that puzzle piece became so important because she was now able to create and attract women who wanted to give back.
Mm-hmm.
How, and that was a piece, and that puzzle would have always been lost on that piece. And that became an anchor for her eventually, and her business and her uniqueness and attracting clients. It's just, as much as I see it, I'm still amazed at how it works. I'm just amazed.
Well, and I have to share too. I came to LA and you had this whole group. Renee Piane was there, and she was just on the show this year. How we reconnected. The love coach. Is she the love connection?
Yeah, she's I call her love bug. She's love.
You had attracted all these wonderful people. You had a singer there for us. It was really amazing. And I remember one of the things you took us through was your branding archetypes. And when I got finished with that, I remember that the way people see me was more like the expert, like the Betty Crocker. But the way I like to lead is as like an adventurer, and that's like the Costa Rica thing. And, I want to go have fun and play. And then the way that I help people is the alchemist, like transforming, it's almost like magic. Someone said I heal people with my presence.
I believe that.
Which, I thought that was so powerful. Excuse me. Well, so I left there and everyone was so excited about the Midlife Millionaire. And again, I didn't launch it. It was I even had the lady you brought in hire LA hires, or she does like reality shows. And she asked if I would let them come and videotape the retreat. I'm like, no, but it's funny because once I really owned that brand, then all of those archetypes get to come and play. And then it became very fun, where I'm doing more the retirement and the reinvention. It's too structured. It's too financial and business. And that's actually what I ran away from years ago and so I'm telling this because I know there are other women that are just like me. They're sitting there and there's something inside of them. They have no idea what it is. Maybe they have an inkling of it. And of course, we always see ourselves differently than others do. Mm-hmm. And so we really need to be in a position that's safe, because we don't want to share stuff with people that are the wrong people.
Right.
Where it's safe, and then you can bring that out and then, get people to confirm you, right? And help you own that, because it's a very scary thing. I will bet there's people listening. They have this idea for speaking or a book, but they're so afraid to even tell anyone because it's so huge. It's so scary to them. But if they could just do it, it'll change their lives.
Yeah. And, I was just talking to a client this morning, and I was telling him that, the fastest way to get out of fear, or worry, is to take action. One little small step, take action. And it makes all the difference in the world. And, a lot of people, I think everyone has at least one book in them. And so there are times where people will not write a book because they don't know what they're supposed to write about. I love that. I want to talk to you. Because I want to help you focus and pull some things out that will help you decide what you're going to write about. I often, me, I ask a lot of questions, and I often get my clients to go, wow, no one's ever asked me that before. And when I hear that, it's like, yay, I like that, because I really like to hear the essence and find the essence of that person, because that is where the gold is.
Mm-hmm. And more than likely, it's some kind of, experience that they've had too is going to come into play.
Oh yeah.
It's
usually a pivotal experience.
And that's what makes them unique. And then that's their story, and what they can't believe it, but that actually makes them an expert in that area too.
It's absolutely, because they pulled out of it. How did they do it? I mean, and here's the deal. You're really in service big time when you write a book. You're at such in service, because think about the last time you read a book that you got this great idea and it made a difference in your life. It made a difference in your life. So it's a very powerful, loving thing to do. It really is, because because we have had these traumas or pivotal experiences and we figured out a way out. Wow. Do you know how many people would love to at least hear something, an alternative, someone who could be there for them, that understands, that they can feel safe to talk about? And I think it's very important also when people think, well, why, my gosh, another memoir on XYZ. Yes, because even twins have different fingerprints. And I like to say we all have different brand prints. And it's finding that brand print that makes you unique no matter what.
Oh, that's beautiful. So let's go back. I wanted to ask, because, there may be people that are listening that are thinking, I don't want to write a book, but is there another way they can get their message out? And so like with the book or without the book, can we talk about this idea of monetizing the message in all the different ways that we can do that? And I know you're an expert at it, because you have the triplicate effect and you have all these different things that are so cool. But so it's an investment. I'm looking at that, that's an investment, because you're going to learn all these different ways to use the book or to use the idea. So can we just talk about that?
Yeah. So
monetizing.
If you're asking, I don't want to write a book. So how do I monetize my message? It's an important message. One of the best ways is to speak. And now that we have podcasts, it's an excellent, excellent venue. I heartily recommend that any and every expert, and anyone who has a position, who has a message, start their own podcast and become a guest on others' podcasts. So right before the show, Katana, I was sharing with you that someone had seen a testimonial and knew the gal. And then she also knew about Smart Women's Coaching, and she had been listening to some of your experts, and she had listened to me. And, we have to have many, many touches. And then she went back on my website and she goes, I have to work with this person. I have to work with this person. And she became a client most recently, just through testimonials, because that's third party value, if you will. And also through something like this, through speaking, through radio, through podcasts. They're powerful, very, very powerful. Other ways to do it, it's time consuming, and it depends on what type of business you have. Things that are visual, like food, health, social media, those kinds of things do well in enrolling clients on social media. That there's so much noise out there now, and a lot of people do not share their uniqueness. And there's a whole system around even Instagram, just that one social media platform, if you're really going to monetize it. There's a whole system around LinkedIn if you're going to use that to monetize it. There's a whole system around Facebook if you're going to use that to monetize it. And so that's in a different place, but you can with social media, but I'm not going to promote that. I'm going to rather say something that I know is going to make a difference, and that's being on radio shows, that's being speaking on someone's platform, that is being a podcast guest and having your own podcast as well. And when you have your own podcast, you get the opportunity to identify who you want to talk to. So talk to what I call cousins of your message, so that people come and they get a well-rounded view of your topic. And it's a great way to meet people and start building partnerships.
That's what I was going to say. Every single person in over 12 years, over 400 people who have been on this show, we have a spreadsheet for every year with every detail about that person. So what's exciting now is I'm looking at this idea of, my launch for my course and in this book. And I have all these people that I can create, an affiliate system and contact them, and they'll be more than happy. I won't contact everyone, but the people that would be appropriate to invite them to participate. And then they also get exposure and they also get income because you set up an affiliate fee, and it's a wonderful way to do it. So make sure when you're meeting people, you connect with them and you collect that information and stay in touch and thank them and create a relationship with them.
Right.
They're going to be the people to help you, especially if they loved what you did on their show. Or
exactly.
Speak, they'll be happy to help out later.
Right. And you have 400 guests in the 12 years. Congratulations.
I know, and I should do something with that, all those wonderful interviews.
Yeah. There's tens of thousands and tens of thousands of dollars lying on the table there. And it's not, or in your Excel sheets, and it's not about the dollars. It's about all the people that you built a relationship with, and they're people, you don't know how many of their clients would love to know what you do. They're looking for someone like you. Mm-hmm. And right off the bat, you're in alignment with that person. If you hit it off and you have a relationship, you're in alignment with them. And so chances are your message will make sense to their people.
And I was just thinking when you said this, Ruth, the other thing is when I said create value, if you're on their show or they're on your show or you're on their show, connect with them, find out what they're doing and when their launches are, and then you can help support them as well.
Absolutely.
Instead of just asking, you can always give to and help them promote too.
And that's the relationship, right? The relationship is here and there and here, it goes back and forth. Absolutely. And here's the thing. I think, you hit it because you're so into service, Katana, and it's so beautiful, and you're beautiful. And what you do is beautiful, and what you set up is incredible, all in service to others. If we could start looking at our message as something that can help others, wouldn't that be amazing? Mm-hmm. And wouldn't that be an incredible shift? And in that place of shifting, we would welcome writing a book, even though we may not know what it's about. That's okay. Get someone who can help you. That we start speaking, we write that speech, someone might hear it. We start that podcast. We go on other people's podcasts and things of that sort. If we could just look at our experiences and expertise and hard knocks as being in service. It used to be when I would give a speech, I'd want to know how many people are in the audience and all of that. And then there was a traumatic event where I was one of the keynotes, and it was this big women's conference and women were leaving. And I took it personally, and I didn't speak for years. And then one time I was with a bunch of women, and we had a small mastermind group. And this gal said, not very complimentary though, said, Ruth, gosh, you're a phenomenal speaker. And one of the other gals said, of course she is. She's a professional speaker. and it I don't know what it did, but it just activated, you know what? All those years that I gave a speech, I was taking it personally. It was about me. Mm-hmm. And when I took a break and was completely crushed. I came to my senses that the speech has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with the message. And then, Katana, I didn't care if there were 3 people in the audience or 300 people in the audience, because I realized that everyone who showed up, and it's the exact same thing in my classes, everyone is the Momentum Club, everyone that shows up in my branding classes and this writing class that I'm starting is exactly who needs to be there.
Absolutely. And what I was thinking when you started this this conversation right here was, it's shifting from fear to love. And you say, what does that mean? Well, love, love means that you're not hiding. You're exposed and you're open. And when we can do that and just get up there and again, just like you said, have that message for them, the whole thing is going to shift.
Completely,
Yeah.
completely. Because the fear is when we take it personally. When we give it, when we care about the message, we bring love to it. And I love how you simplified that so beautifully.
Well, I have to share one story. A couple of years ago, I broke my ankle, and it was November 1st, probably 2019. And I was supposed to do this speech for free to another nonprofit women's organization. And they had other speakers there too. And I thought, I can't do this. I have this big old boot and it was ugly and I was in pain, and I go, how am I going to do this? But I'm married to a musician who made me practice, and I had that thing down, and I knew they were going to have podiums or anything. And I had it on my little iPhone. Well, I made myself go there, and I'm like trying to get in, without crutches and it was crazy, but I showed up. And then I got up on that, and I had to climb up on this stage with the boot and everything. And I had people behind me, the sponsors, and people over in a room down here. It was crazy, but I just did it, and I engaged with everyone, and I let it all go. And I spoke from my heart.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting because about a week later, I got a call from one of the sponsors saying, we're the publishers of Women to Women magazine, Michigan. We want you to be our cover girl for January. So they put me on the cover and wrote a 4-page spread. And then afterwards, they gave me a whole case of free magazines. I mean, who could even expect that? That was better than being paid.
Yeah.
And it's because I just got up there and I was authentic, and I wanted to make sure I could give back to these ladies. So
and it was authentic, and it came from the heart.
Yeah.
And it came from the heart. And speaking of monetizing the message, that 4-page spread you can use to monetize who you are. So I'm sure you did that. So those 4 pages, for example, it'd be great to have them on your website, taking certain segments out and the banner of that magazine, and using it in lead pages, sales pages, in emails, using that when you connect with media, letting people, you've just interviewed a client or potential client, and they want to know a little bit more about you, or you go, I'd like to send this to you. It pretty much wraps up who I am and what I do. Impressive. And that helps just that little bit over the edge that they'd like to work with you.
Yeah, I have shared it with different people, but it was just such a gift. And it shows that when you do things, and you step out of your comfort zone and just show up, magic happens. And so one of the things you talk about is, do it once and use it many different ways. So I also wanted to share with the ladies how I had written an article once that it had 3 key points. And I was invited to come do a speech for Health Alliance Plan, and they have 90,000 women in their Wise Women database. And I get there, and there was 2 other speakers I brought that did breakouts. I was one of the keynotes. And I had never spoke before. They didn't know this. And they had video cameras and 500 women in the audience. And I had a good friend, Jill Jordan, who you know,
Uh-huh.
spoke all the time. I always sent her out to do the talks. And so anyway, she said, Katana, just take the article. And she said, remember, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And each of your points is going to have a beginning, a middle, and the end. And then you tell them what you're going to tell them. Then you tell them what you told them. And I just did this, and I expanded it, and I added stories to it. And,
Yeah.
you know, and it was funny because I really got into it. I got so excited. And so I want to share, that's, you know, another thing. So look at what you have already, because your article could be, you know, part of a program. It could be part of your book. It could be a speech that you do. And so anyway, I wanted to share that too. And the other thing, when you write a book, Ruth, is each of those chapters can become a speech, can become an article.
Absolutely. And that's the other thing, you know, in terms of the book, how do you actually take the book and monetize it beyond speeches? You can take chapters, you can take subsections of a chapter. Like one of the subsections I have in my write a book, Time Management Secrets for Working Women, is the triplicate effect. I have a whole module around the triplicate effect. I could do a whole program around that.
So the women I know are going to want to connect with you because you have so many great resources. So I would suggest they, first of all, come get on your mailing list. Is there a way that they can sign up to just start getting, you know, get on your list so they know what you're doing?
Yes. So the easiest way is to DM me on Instagram. It's just easy. And then they can DM me, tell me that they were listening to this show, and give me their email, and I can put them in and connect with them. And if they want, I'd be happy to offer a 30-minute conversation if they just kind of want to talk a little bit and maybe get a little focus on where they are right now, whether it's writing a book, whether it's publishing a book, whether it's marketing the book, whether it's wanting to write a speech, whether it's whatever that might be,
Right.
or their branding. I'd be happy to offer that complimentary.
Oh, that's so exciting. So Ruth, it has been so phenomenal connecting again and sharing this message with everyone, how to monetize their message with, and it's really with writing a book, but then that leads into other areas of speaking.
Right,
and
right.
possibly programs as well.
And let me just also say, Katana, I could actually take this wonderful interview and convert it into an ebook. Yes. And monetize it that way.
Yes. So there's so many exciting things. So it's Ruth.Klein.
Ruth.Klein, Klein,
and it's on Instagram. So we are out of time, and I'm just going to give you a big kiss.
Love you. This is so fun.
It's been wonderful. Yes. And to all of our listeners, our next 2 shows are going to be on legacy. We're bringing some phenomenal guests, and the theme is the life you lead is a legacy you leave. So until next time, go out and live with more purpose, passion, and prosperity.